I am in Cohill, Ontario with Dr. Rob Kamermans. Hi, Dr. Kamermans.
Hi.
You are a very unusual story. We don't get to cover too many stories like this.
Mm-hmm.
Very few high school dropouts end up becoming doctors. And reading that your background, you've had this amazing odyssey. You've become a doctor later in life. Your wife has become a nurse as well.
That's right.
You're the only doctor in this town of about 350 people.
That's right.
And you work in the Bancroft Emergency Ward.
No, I worked in the emergency room in Sturgeon Falls.
Sturgeon Falls, sorry.
Yeah, which is quite a ways from here, but it was an underserved area, and that's where I chose to work.
Well, every area now is short of doctors in Ontario and many parts of Canada. But
Right.
I think what's really started to bring your story to attention, and you've been covered by a lot of media, is when the police actually came into the emergency ward and arrested the only doctor on duty, or
Right.
charged the only doctor
Right.
on duty. And it stems from you being one of the few doctors in Canada that will sign the documentation for medical marijuana.
That's correct. Yes.
So how did you get involved with the process? So why were you one of the few doctors that would sign the documentation?
I think mainly because I was the only one who stepped up to the plate to do my job. There was another doctor in Toronto that was doing it on a larger scale. There was more people going to see him. But he just sort of faded out. He wasn't doing it anymore. And then, people couldn't find a doctor to sign.
And some media outlets have made a huge thing about the money that's been involved. But during my research, I was seeing that there are some of the few doctors out there that are charging in excess of $2,500 to fill out simple paperwork where you were charging $100.
That's correct.
And yet with traditional medications like Percocets or oxys or any of the mainstream drugs,
Right.
there's no fee. And anyone can walk into their doctor, have a need, and the doctor will write out a script and ka-ching,
right.
ka-ching, ka-ching in the system.
Right. Yeah.
How do we as a country get to there? I mean, if marijuana is legal,
Yeah.
why do we have to go through these hoops as far as medical marijuana?
Yeah, I can't even understand it because I didn't know there was a medical marijuana program here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm licensed in New Mexico and Michigan as well, and they also have a medical marijuana program, which I didn't really know about.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a patient probably in 2009 that came and asked for me to sign medical marijuana,
Mm-hmm.
and I looked at the paperwork. And said, it doesn't make no sense, So I signed it, and I never heard anything. But the next year, I had about 10, 20 people, that I signed up, and then all of a sudden it was just like the dam broke.
And Cohill is not convenient to get to. I mean, it's a journey to get here.
It initially started more with people from Nova Scotia and Montreal than actual people from Ontario.
Mm-hmm.
Because apparently in Nova Scotia there's nobody that would sign, but not only that, most people don't have family doctors. Yeah.
What are some of the impacts of the higher pharmaceutical drugs like oxys? Because I mean, we hear about a lot of deaths from people that have abused the drug. We hear a lot of complications. We hear about addiction.
Well, there's I would say at least 20,000 deaths per year in North America from OxyContin, Percocet overdoses.
Mm-hmm.
Those are not necessarily accidental. Those might be true, planned. I don't know, but that's just kind of the tip of the iceberg because there's lots of people that are addicted to them, so they're running around on the streets trying to get more. They lose their job. They lose their family. There's thousands of wasted lives.
Why are you as a doctor feeling that marijuana is an alternative to these drugs?
Well, it's safe.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, there's never anybody has died from an overdose of marijuana. And, I've now seen a lot of people who use marijuana, and those people they're functioning in society, they have a family, they're doing things, they're working, they vacation, they do things regular people do. They're not running around on the streets trying to get a drug, to maintain.
So how do we get from this simple position, which seems to be fought from the system, to the point where you're taken out in cuffs from an emergency ward, and even today there's an OPP car in front of the door of this building while we're doing the interview?
I know it is bizarre. I mean, this is only my thinking, you know, the police don't want marijuana to be legal because, you know, it's easy for them to bust people that smoke marijuana.
But law enforcement has actually come in favor of legalizing marijuana. A lot of the officers don't want to be chasing guys down for one joint.
That might be so, but the Bancroft OPP, they're a little bit behind still. They haven't caught up, you know, and they have a bit of a personal vendetta. You know, there's something very personal that's.
Do you feel there's a personal vendetta?
I know it is.
Okay. Why do you think that is? Because I mean, you're the only doctor here.
Well, I did locums previously in Bancroft, maybe 12, 14 years ago, and I mean, you know, it was a letter to the editor that, you know, people would be driving drunk, you know, they get in an accident, take them to the emergency room, but if they were connected, like if they knew the police or if they knew the mayor or who knows what, then nothing would happen to them, you know. So I wrote a letter just saying that I had a zero tolerance policy for that kind of stuff. I mean, if people come to the emergency room and they hurt themselves, could potentially hurt somebody else, that, you know, I think it's only right that they're charged.
Do you feel safe in your own community anymore?
The community of people in Cohill, certainly. Yes, I do feel safe. But I honestly feel safer in America than I do here in Canada.
How so?
Well, in America this would never have happened. But here, it's a police state. You know,
Well, a lot of people today accuse America of being a police state. That's a really interesting perspective.
I mean, we've lived in America. We lived in Albuquerque, and you know, it's rambunctious, and some cops are crazy.
In New Mexico, you're allowed to carry open firearm.
Not in New Mexico, I don't think.
Okay.
I think in Texas,
Okay.
and Arizona, both sides of it, not in New Mexico. And I felt safe. I mean, you know, yeah, there's bad guys there, and they shoot each other, and there's police that are quick to, you know, to jump on you and stuff like that. But you have more rights in America, like we were talking about the Fourth Amendment, you know, where well, you really can't search me unless you're suspicious of something, you know. But here, it seems like they pretty much do what they want. Then when let's say the Crown makes a decision, which in my case the Crown made a decision to let me out of jail, the police said, no, we don't want him out of jail. So I stayed in jail, despite my attorney, and despite what the Crown had decided. The police overruled all that.
Are you getting any support from the medical institutions? They can't be happy about a doctor being jailed for doing his job.
The CMA wouldn't talk to me. I called them and you know, talked a little bit about the issue. Oh, you got to talk to so and so or so and so, and you know, they just didn't want anything to do with it. The College of Physicians and Surgeons, I mean, they've examined my charts, you know, for charting and that kind of thing, and so I'm dealing with that. I have a preceptor, so, but I don't really have support there. I have physicians that I work with that are supportive. Yes.
Now, you've voluntarily chosen to not sign any more marijuana paperwork here in Ontario.
I did that in...
or Canada.
Yeah, I did that in January 2012. But then, I think it was like in May that they issued a statement from the college that I was not to do that. So, you know, at that point, I guess it became their choice. You know,
so they've suspended your ability to do that?
To support the marijuana applications.
Yet you can still prescribe Percocet, Oxy.
Oh, absolutely.
Any barbiturate.
Sure.
Any drug.
Any narcotics.
Any narcotic.
Any drug except for Sesame and Sativix.
Which are
the synthetic
marijuana. Yeah. How do they justify that irrational? Because, I mean, as a lay person, as a media person, right, it seems insane.
It does. Yeah. It seems that way to me, too.
And what happens to your current patient load that are on medical marijuana?
I can see them, and as long as I refer them to somebody who will prescribe the marijuana.
Is that easily done?
It's not easy, but it's done. I mean, there's more and more doctors that are willing to sign.
Are they using you as an example to scare other doctors to stop supporting the work?
It's not working, because up until 2012, when I stopped, then I had signed 4,000, and there was only 13,000 signed over 10 years. So I signed the majority. Then in the next year, there was another 14,000 signed up. And in this half year, 2013, I think there's another 10,000. So, there's another 25,000 since I stopped. So obviously some doctors are doing it.
Are you in touch with a lot of the doctors? Is there a community? Do you guys compare war stories?
No, because of all the doctors I refer to, I don't think I've met any of them. Yeah.
So you guys don't talk on the phone or email?
No. I mean, there's like, I know there's a doctor in Hamilton, one in Niagara Falls. There's lots in British Columbia, and so a lot of these are done on Skype.
Do you ever fathom or envision shutting down your practice in Ontario and leaving?
A lot of people ask me that, but my practice is here. My patients are here. I can't. I'm not really going to do that. Because
How many patients are in your practice roughly?
I don't know. I tried to add it up the other day. It's somewhere between 500 and 800. So.
Have you ever had a complaint against your services as a doctor in Ontario?
Yeah.
From patients?
Yeah, not a major complaint, but
Okay.
a complaint. Yeah.
I mean, like a single complaint?
Well, there was, they call them frivolous,
Okay.
So there's 1, 2, and one was considered frivolous, and the other one, I went to the college and I talked to them. Yeah.
Dr. Kamermans, are you a good doctor?
That's a hard question to answer. I think I'm a good doctor. Yeah. I mean, I've got a lot of clinical experience. I've got, 60,000 hours with patient contact. So if you average that out, that's probably 240,000 patient encounters that I've had. When you look on the computer, like the rate MDs, there's, I think, 25 of them are good, one's bad. So, I don't know. I don't know whether to believe that stuff either, but I do my best. I really do.
And your wife is a nurse?
Yes.
Is your nurse?
Yes, she works in the clinic. But
Yeah. And it's a lovely clinic. I was just taking a look at it before, and it's just, as a patient, I mean, what a bright, nice therapeutic space to be in if you're worried about it.
That's our objective, is to, make the grounds look nice. And so it's healing just coming here,
When you see situations like this, is the medical profession truly observing its Hippocratic oath?
Not with medical marijuana, no. Certainly not.
Do you see things changing in the next 5 or 10 years?
Yeah.
So there's hope?
I think I was on the crest of the wave,
Yeah.
I didn't even think about medical marijuana when it all started. I just never knew that there was such a need out there. So, yeah, I think it's changed. It's already changed. I mean, there's already lots of doctors signing. I thought decriminalization would be a good thing, but I think overall legalization is the answer, because that way the government can tax it if they want to, and people can grow their own medicine. For me, it's all about those people that can't grow their medicine. I'm not into the big issue about marijuana this, marijuana that. I know that it works for people, and just the patient population that I represent need to grow.
Is this an industrial issue and a commercial issue in the sense that big drug companies and governments can't tax what people grow in their home if they grow a couple plants for their prescription?
I don't know. I think they would, if, let's say it was legal, and then the government could tax it, I think they'd be happy. Because, of all the people that use it, I don't know what percentage grow it, but I mean, certainly I see the people, because I see the disadvantaged people already, so the people that I see need to grow it. But I think when you're talking in Toronto, most people would just buy it.
From a licensed.
Yeah, from a license place, or like a liquor control board, marijuana control board.
Because with the new federal changes, there's some
Yeah.
people like activist Russell Barth in Ottawa
Yeah.
was saying that if he can't access his marijuana, if he has to
Yeah.
go to a dispensary, that he can't afford over $1,000 a month
Well, that's right.
for medication.
That's absolutely right.
So what
Yeah.
happens to patients in that situation?
No, that's the biggest issue that's kind of coming out of the new rulings. Is that, and it's certainly those are the people that I represent. But I would say that of those 40,000 that'll be signed by next year, that at least 20 or 25,000 are they can't get their medication. So then the doctors will offer them Percocet. That's just such a negative thing, and the joy in my practice has been to get people off Percocet and off narcotics and stuff like that.
And has that
Yeah.
happened? Like, have you
Yeah.
documented a lot of cases of that?
Well, probably a dozen, which it's a good start.
No, for sure.
Well, now that's just people who have taken off narcotics. There's people who have done it on their own and switched to marijuana, or not necessarily done marijuana, but have got off themselves. But I'm talking about a dozen that actually came to me and said, "I need help," whereas most of the others did it on their own.
Anecdotally, other than your experience with the local OPP, how have your patients responded? Have you lost patients over all of this notoriety?
Well, yes, but only because they're not sure whether I'm still practicing. Like the way some of the newspapers printed out, they're saying I'm not practicing, or when the police stop them, they say, the doctor doesn't work anymore. Or,
That's a pretty big accusation you just made.
They do. I have patients who will actually go to court and say that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, we can't cover too much litigious stuff in this interview.
I know. We can't. Yeah.
But it's just amazing to see a story like this here in Canada and here in Ontario in such a lovely area. I mean, it's
Right.
beautiful around here.
Right.
I've never come to this region before, and we just drove up, and it was, it was beautiful.
Yeah, it is. Really. Nice lakes. And
Are there a lot of marijuana arrests around here, to your knowledge?
yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, I guess they're in the newspaper, but I really don't read the newspaper, But I do know if, like, let's say a patient of mine has been arrested,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and there's been a few.
How many, we're almost in here, how many hours a week do you put in at the clinic?
Now, it's not near as much. It's about between 30 and 40.
Because of what's happened?
Yeah.
Okay. And then you work in the emergency also in Sturgeon Falls?
I lost that
Okay.
job. Yeah.
So you've really suffered from everything that's happened.
The emergency work was my livelihood. That's where that was my day job, that's where I made money. The clinic was never really anything to make money, it was there to serve the community.
Right.
And because I worked in the emergency room, I was able to subsidize it, kind of, So so the clinic is still just that,
Is the clinic in jeopardy because of all of this?
The buildings I need to sell. Because we can't meet our financial obligations, but we'll hopefully still continue seeing our patients here. So.
Was there a chance that Cohill can lose its only doctor?
Well, there's a chance, but if we do, we'll just move down the road, which is 5 miles down the road, so, which is still in the Cohill area,
So to end the interview, if you can wave a magic wand, what would you like to see happen in the short term with this situation?
Well, I think drop the charges. I think they need to. There's nothing criminal there. So drop the charges. As far as the community goes, the community's behind us.
Do you think you'll ever prescribe or fill out paperwork for medical marijuana in Ontario again?
I don't think they want me to, but I honestly think that the college should say thanks very much for helping these people out. Rather than we're going to stop you. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.